this tutorial, I'm going to go over how to extend a background. This photo was taken by one of my students. His name is Ray Fuller, and he caught an excellent shot of this airplane going there, and he was panning to try to make it so that you can see the motion of the background here, and doing a slow enough shutter speed that you can see the motion of the propeller. But unfortunately, we have a little bit of the motion of the plane leading out of the frame a bit too far. So this would probably be made just a bit better as an image if we had just a little bit more image here on this side of the frame. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to increase my canvas size. I'm going to indicate what direction I want it to have it be locked in. Here is where I want it to stay at that centermost point. I'm going to want it to extend to this side. The width is going to be larger is what I want. So let's see, perhaps 9 inches instead of the original 7. So I'm just making it a larger amount. And I'm leaving my canvas extension to white there. And I hit OK. Right, so great. We have a blank canvas on that part there, but at least we have some space. So the first thing I'm going to try to do is see if Photoshop, with its wonderful tools and settings, is able to do it all on its own by just going to Content Aware Fill. So in this, I'm going to tell the Photoshop there what is and is not something that it should use to sample from. So I'm going to say, no, in fact, we don't want the nose of this, any part of the plane to be sampled, anything else around here. All right, that looks interesting, but let's see, back from before, it was doing pretty well there of having it seemingly be more realistic of catching those edges of the trees. So with that, let's go ahead and apply that, and I'm going to output it to this current layer, so it's the same layer. And then I'm going to hit Command D so that I can then see without having the marching ants go around, and also deselect what I have going on here. All right, the next bit that I'm going to do is obviously these nose cones here. They kind of give this away. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a similar tool. Instead of just doing it there of square, we're going to use the spot healing brush. And I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of my background by clicking and dragging my layer down to the new layer part, and it just copies it so that I have that original back behind there. So I'm going to go ahead and paint over that. Oh, it's done a poor job, so I'm going to try it again here and see if hopefully it's going to be smart and figure out that, okay, that one it didn't do so badly on. Go ahead, use that same tool here. Oh, it still keeps deciding that it thinks that the best thing is to do a nose cone. So I'm going to have to go ahead and do one of two things. I can either go ahead and select that area again that I wanted. In that case, I could go up to Edit and Content Aware Fill, and I'm going to pick that in fact, no, I don't want any of that nose cone there. None of that to be sampled. Okay, and we look at our image here, and we're going to see how it's looking with it. And I'm going to go ahead and say, no, I don't really want any sky in it. And let's see on its preview. And in this case, to our surprise, it looks like, ta-da, I think we're in. We're all good here. Hit OK. Hit Command D again. And there we go. We no longer have that spot that looked like you had nose cone repeating there. Now, one thing that you might end up noticing as we zoom in is that this area looks a little bit muddier than here. It doesn't have these nice kind of texture bits of lines here. So what I may end up doing is I will again copy this layer, and I'm going to go and use my patch tool. And in the sections where it has a texture that doesn't quite match what I would like, I'm going to go over and try to find a spot that has a spot that I do like for it. Go there. Good. Hit Command D to deselect from that. Go ahead, find another spot. Good. Here we go. Great. Okay. Now, the next thing also is we wouldn't expect that it would be going and having exactly the same thing of over and over and over again. Additionally, if we go and we look closely, this is actually the propeller right here, this portion. So I want to go and get rid of this here so that it's going to look a tad bit more believable. So in this case, I'm going to go get the texture that I have here. I'm going to look for a spot that's going to be a bit more believable. So this edge of this tree here. Okay. All right, we're getting there. And I'm going to probably go and get that whole section there. And go and grab a spot that I feel looks pretty convincing. All right. There we go. That's getting better. And here, same thing that it ended up going, and if we look at our original, so that we see this spot here, these two bands, that's propeller. So again, this was a spot that was new, so it was trying to get it from here. So I'm going to go find an edge that I like. That looked a little too muddy for my liking. Go and find a spot. Again, that's convincing. Looks about right. Okay. And now I can go ahead and apply a quick mask there. White to reveal, black to hide. So I want to get rid of some of this layer here. I'm making sure this is selected here so that I can go ahead and I'm now hiding some of what I've done in that layer to see what was from behind there. All right. I'm going to go back in, get that bit of propeller out. I'm generally liking how this is looking. I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift, Option, Command E. And that's going to give me a stamp of that whole layer there. And from here, go ahead, go back to my spot healing brush. See what it gives me here of if it's, don't like that, so I'm going to hit Command Z or undo. See if it'll pick something a little bit better this time. A little more believable. Okay. This is getting better. I want to take out some of that so that my clouds don't look quite as streaky there. You can see it's just kind of going to go to what you like, how you're happy with the end result of the look here. All right, same here. Want that. Nope. Bring this in. Oh. And a little bit here. A little less blocky. Oh, that would have been where the original was, so we don't want to mess with that too much. Right, just looking back, stepwise. And we can go back again and just double check. was what was the real. A, because originally I forgot to copy my very first layer here. So that I do that. Make my canvas size big again, just to 9. And I'm going to paste that on top of there. All right, so now I can see this easier of seeing what was the original versus that. So now I can mask this. Press X as my quick key here to switch between black and white. So I'm on black. So I can bring this original in, and I'm going to change my opacity up here. Right now I'm at 80%. I'm going to make it more like 40%, so I can just press 4 so that I blend those easier. All right. Now looking at that, I'd say that's fairly convincing. I'll then go ahead and crop it to the dimensions that we wanted, which originally, if we looked back at it, it had it, our canvas size needed to be to 7, 4.667 by 7. So we'll do 4.667 by 7. And so there's that. Now I can move this around to seeing where I like it. Do I actually want to give him even more leading out? Maybe not, because we like the fact that we've got this stream there that's coming through here. So I think just about there, right? Hit enter to lock in my crop. Bada bing, bada boom. We have that extra space. It doesn't look like he was going and sailing right out of the frame. Thanks for joining me.